Happy New Year and welcome to the big beautiful Bella San Luci kitchen. We're here to cook a hearty dish for the beginning of the year submitted by Jim Bradley to our recipe contest. It's a rigatoni with mixed mushrooms, lots of other wonderful flavors coming together. So let's get cooking. Okay, in this pasta, Jim Bradley calls for rigatoni pasta. We're gonna get it going first. It's the thing that takes the longest, and we're going to be using some of the pasta water in the sauce. I'm gonna add some salt. Always salt your pasta water, as everyone in Italy does. And that's a 12 to 13 minute cook time. We're gonna stir it a few times, massaging it, as I say. And then we're gonna start our ragu. Jim Bradley calls for a mushroom ragu. Sometimes we say sugo in Italian. For a not meat sauce, we have our oil from the sun-dried tomatoes getting hot. This dish uses our sun-dried tomatoes and our chipotle sun-dried tomato sauce. We're gonna add our mushrooms to the hot sun-dried tomato oil. Let's stir the mushrooms into the hot oil, and let's get the rest of our ingredients into the beginning of this wonderful mushroom ragu. While the mushrooms are going, we'll stir the pasta one more time to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. And we'll stir the mushrooms into our sun-dried tomato oil and butter mixture. And now we're going to add fresh thyme, picked off the stems, and a touch of dry oregano. And let's stir that in and let these flavors come together in a mariage. And one of the reasons we started the pasta first was for timing, so everything's ready at the same time. Also because we're saving some of the pasta water, which has a touch of salt and some starch, to make the sauce a little thicker and a little richer, like they do in Italy. Okay, so in addition to the sun-dried tomato oil, we're gonna use a touch of butter. We're gonna turn the mushrooms off now. You know when they're ready, when they smell wonderful. Jim Bradley's recipe calls for us to take the mushrooms out of the pot, set aside onto a plate, which I have set up right here. So let's do that. I'm gonna put it back on the burner. I'm going to add the remainder of the sun-dried tomato oil, and then the onion. We're adding the onion first because the onion takes longer and we don't want to burn the garlic. Let's add the garlic. Let's only cook the garlic just a touch. And I think we're ready to strain the pasta as the onions and garlic cook together. Let's turn this fire off and let's set it aside. Make sure it's al dente but soft. I'm gonna strain it through a colander into a measuring cup to save the 2 cups of water that this recipe calls for. I'm just gonna hold the pasta on top of my pasta pot. I've poured a little bit of the water out. I have a measuring cup here because it calls for 2 cups. And I'm now gonna add the next series of ingredients, the Bella San Luci part. Sun-dried tomato julienne. Here comes the chipotle sauce, giving it an even richer flavor and texture. I'm going to add, as the recipe says, 1 cup of the pasta water that has some salt in it. Always salt your pasta water. And now, as it comes up to a simmer, let's add our heavy cream, touch of salt. Pasta water already has salt in it also. All of our ingredients are in the pot. We're starting to come to a simmer. I'm gonna turn it off now and I'm going to blend it. You can use an immersion blender or a blender or a food processor. You see how deep the pot is? That will help it not jump out for safety reasons and also to keep all of your ingredients in the pot. We're gonna go high now to get it a little smoother and looking good. Let's go to our next step. And now we're gonna add the pasta. We're at a simmer now, which should nicely melt the remaining butter. And mix that in until it melts. This is a wonderful winter hearty dish, and this is also a vegetarian dish if you wanted to serve it as an accompaniment to chicken or beef or even fish. It would enhance any meal. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna put a little extra of Parmesan. And then the aforementioned and aforechiffonated basil. There's our basil as the finale. Jim Bradley's rigatoni with a mushroom ragu. Wonderful comfort food for the winter. Please send in your recipes to bellasonluci.com. And please eat with love, your family and friends, and with the passion for cooking that we all share.